Late in the 19th century, two Ukrainian pioneers, and John Pilipusky, were attracted to the unsettled bush-covered parkland of the Canadian West. Here in a wilderness, they saw an opportunity and a new freedom for themselves and their friends. Soon their friends arrived, lived wherever nature gave them shelter, and with native diligence started to develop their long-cherished dream of freedom and opportunity. Although some settled in the east or in towns, most came west, far from any settlement. Their life experience had always been frugality and purposeful energy, and these became the natural ingredients of their Canadian struggles. But to these now was added the incentive of hope. They brought little money, but they brought much strength, and little else is needed in a pioneer. For a time, the cordwood from their clearing land was their only cash crop, and what they did not use for their homes, they exchanged for the equipment with which to cultivate their clearing. Sometimes it proved a disappointment, and the settlers lost their homesteads. But doggedly they would try again until the roots of their progress took hold in land that responded to their careful toil. The materials at hand were the substance of the homes they built. Roofs were of straw or sod from their fields. And a mixture of clay, water, and chopped straw plastered their walls against the winter cold. And everyone worked. From small gardens, then seldom attempted on the prairies, they obtained their food and a little money for the things they could not make themselves. Their clearings expanded slowly because the work was hard. But year by year, they widened their planted area, and soon their first cash crops of grain were ripening in fertile acres carved from the prairie bush. The harvests had to be gathered by hand. Scythes for the men and smaller sickles for the women were their only tools, and the stalks were bound into bundles with twists of straw. Thrashing was slow and laborious with the ancient flails. Thus, with tools of their own making and by the strength of their own hands, the settlers consolidated their new life in what had been wilderness. Often milling had to be done at home. The kernels were cracked in homemade machines. And hand mills ground the grain. Children and parents worked together in the struggle to make homes in the free country which they had sought. Their heritage of crafts such as spinning and weaving, which they had brought with them, served them again to make their clothing from wool shared on their own farms. Thus, their pioneering is the same story of stern diligence that is repeated many times throughout the history of Canada's growth. But with all their steady application, production was slow until their careful management brought mechanized power and improved equipment. Today, their farms are as productive and their methods as efficient as any in the Canadian West. Out of this wilderness grant, they have built an important contribution to Canadian agriculture. And of their frugal toils, they have built a community prosperity. In Ukrainian communities, the homes, farm buildings, and churches are now modern, well-built structures. Towns have sprung up, such as typical Mundare in Alberta, with its efficient facilities, its hospital staffed by Dr. Strelchik and his capable nursing sisters. The strong religious feeling which has guided their efforts is evidenced by the nuns who serve here. Here, too, is the only training school in Canada for priests of the Order of St. Basil. The Father Superior has been Father Saverin, now an auxiliary bishop of the Ukrainian Church. Not only missionary priests are trained here, but also lay brothers who work at their many crafts. It is they who sew the colorful garments for the services. In the hours free from studies, the brothers built their elaborate grotto, whose colorful beauty is reflected in the gardens of most homes in the community. Today, throughout the district, gardens bloom where 50 years ago wild bushland faced the pioneers. And 50 years later, the jubilee of the first settlers' arrival celebrated a half-century of progress. Ukrainian Canadians all over Canada gathered at central points to remember their ancestry, to honor their Canadian pioneers. In Mundare, in the morning, they gathered beneath the steel cross of the grotto to attend the high solemn mass celebrated according to the Ukrainian Catholic rite. Greetings and blessings were sent by Bishop Ladika, Bishop Ordinary of the Ukrainians in Canada, and by the Apostolic Delegate Hildebrand Antoniuti from Ottawa. Singing in the old Slavonic language, the children, part of the new land, made beautiful the service of the old. Communicants knelt to receive the two species before departing to continue the day of Thanksgiving. Groups representing surrounding communities formed a parade which wound past the round domed church, escorting floats of the old mud-plastered straw-thatched houses of primitive economy in humble contrast with the new homes, stuccoed and modern in design. Homes now defended by sons and daughters in the forces, defenders of the spacious homeland where they have welcomed democratic citizenship. In the afternoon, crowds thronged to Ukrainian Park across from the grotto to hear greetings from the Prime Minister of Canada, from the Premier of the province, and from many of their countrymen, members of federal and provincial legislatures who have taken active part in democratic administration. In the old folk dances, they remembered their ancient culture, the gay, colorful expressions of their zest and joy in living. The rich melodies of the homeland found new expression in the choirs who gathered in competition. Children's choirs from the schools, choirs from surrounding towns, quartets and soloists. And returning again to his people, the great Ukrainian tenor Holinsky added another voice to the celebration. And while in their songs and dances they remembered the land of their origin, in the health drill of their children, they looked to their future in Canada. They looked to a future of Canadian citizenship for which 3 generations have worked with a stern purpose, and for which a new generation has made the most solemn act of faith, to pledge his life to the future of his people. Before their eyes, countless opening fields of new endeavor, calling only for the cooperative energy that is their birthright, but first the duty, the responsibility of their Canadian citizenship.